How do these sorts of visas actually work?
So basically, you can go there as long as you have a job somewhere else. So what they don't want is you to take away work from local employees. So, for example, if you're employed by a company in Australia, you could go to Costa Rica, Greece, Spain, Bermuda. There's around 40 different countries right now, and work there for up to 1 or 2 years and enjoy the lifestyle and a different way of living.
So you're saying there are now currently around 40 or so countries offering these sorts of visas. I imagine that there'll be differences though between what different countries have to offer and the sorts of rules they provide. But also, what does it mean for the workers in terms of how they balance working in one country and living in another? I imagine there would be tax arrangements, for instance.
Yes, look, in some countries you don't need to pay the local tax, but you will still need to pay income tax in your country where you're from. So Australia, for example, you'll still need to pay tax here, unfortunately. But, you really need to think about a whole range of different factors when you're thinking about doing this, which country might suit you, time zones, and the type of job you have. There's a whole lot of things to think about.
Which sorts of jobs are you finding are, lending themselves more to this sort of remote, extreme remote, if you like, working from home proposition?
So many companies that were offering their employees the ability to work from home, which we know is essentially a lot of people who work in offices, are now extending that to say, look, it's hard for us to find and keep employees. If you want to work fully remotely for a period of time, then we're encouraging you to kind of take up this lifestyle.
How long can people look at having this sort of working arrangement in place?
Look, it does depend on the country. Some of them are relatively short, maybe 6 months. Most are around a year, some are 2 years, and Bali is talking about making it up to 5 years.
Are there some particular spots that are proving more popular than others?
Yeah, look, I think people will often be driven by, lifestyle, going to an exotic location that perhaps they haven't been to before. Working in Bermuda sounds nice, but also to investigate different culture, different history in different countries. But certainly we're seeing the countries with the warmer climate proving to be very popular.
And on the flip side, what about Australia? Is this something that perhaps Australia should look at introducing?
I think a lot of countries are looking at this now because there are economic benefits to the country. So for Bermuda, they introduced theirs during the pandemic when many countries, had restrictions on travel. And even in that short time with the country with a relatively small population, they saw a benefit of $28 million being injected into the local economy in those first 2 years. So many countries are now looking at that for that reason.
Are we seeing, increasingly people taking up this opportunity? What sort of numbers might we be looking at?
Look, it's difficult to get a prediction at the moment on specific numbers, but a large percentage of people, we know that around 70% want to continue to work from home at least some of the time and have that flexibility. And it may be obviously a much smaller percentage that are willing or want to actually able to move overseas and try this lifestyle. But I think we're going to see those numbers grow as work is much more flexible now since the pandemic. The sort of genie got out of the bottle about being able to work outside of the office. And, why not try it if you're able to do so?
So many possibilities. And with New Year's Eve rolling up, I think a few New Year's resolutions might be on the table there as well. Elizabeth Sander with Bond University, thank you so much for speaking with us on ABC News.
My pleasure. Thanks, Miriam.